Are you an entrepreneur? Are you a team leader or realtor who's maybe been accused of being on the spectrum or having ADHD or maybe RSD? Well, if so, you're my people. And I wanted to tell you a bit of a story about, I would say, the last 18 months. It's been an interesting ride, let me tell you. For the longest time, I was worried that I was just losing my motivation or my excitement to do the work or my enthusiasm for any of it. And, I've had things like this happen to me over the years before, but the strategies that I employed during those times really just didn't work. Those were strategies like doubling down on my morning routine, working extra hard at my nighttime routine of putting screens down an hour ahead, or including a pre-sleep meditation envisioning practice, or doing those same things in the morning. I even looked at supplements and food. And after about, 12 or 14 months of that, I was just noticing that it was getting worse still. I'm like, man, what is going on? Is this like some sort of midlife crisis? If you're someone who's in your late 40s, early 50s, you know what I'm talking about. Well, I didn't buy a sports car, although I did buy a G-Wagon. I should probably sell my other vehicle first, right? And I've just been feeling like there's something missing, something else, another detail that I needed to work on that I just hadn't considered yet. Now, if you followed me for some time, you know that I was diagnosed ADHD with RSD about 2 years ago. And since that time, I've been on a couple different types of medication. The first one was bifentin, and now I'm on Vyvanse. 50 mgs in the morning and 20 in the afternoon, and a little 10 milligram dose of Prozac in the morning just to help with that rejection sensitivity. And as it turns out, the old central nervous system has been getting a little bit burned out from that. And I've been noticing just no amount of caffeine, no amount of sleep, and no amount of anything else was really doing the trick to get me back on track. This year, 2025, man, I'm telling you what, it got really bad. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs out there are neurodivergent, as we say. And if you've been that way for a while, well, you would have been if you are. Maybe you're just medicated now or thinking about medication. And I'll tell you the interesting thing about being on stimulants like that. For one, if you're like me, you sure like them. They really give you the jam to get up and get going. I mean, that buzz can be addictive, especially when you're accustomed to having a hard time focusing like I have for most of my life. And, that was really cool for a long time. But the downside to that nobody really tells you about is that you've really got to get accustomed to the fact that that's just going to wear off. And it's going to just start to feel like normal. And then the real problem kicks in when it starts to wear off, and no amount of medication and no amount of sleep can seem to get you back on track. And so, of course, I did what any self-respecting entrepreneur would do. I just suddenly, with the help of ChatGPT, decided that I was going to quit all stimulants. So I did that 4 days ago. And man, let me tell you, it was nap city for the first 3 days. I mean, I couldn't get 30 minutes worth of work done each day unless I was super focused. And that meant that I would need a nap, right after. I mean, I'm talking like 4 1-hour naps, probably a couple 2-hour naps in there, partly because at nighttime I couldn't really sleep worth a shit. And so I looked at a bunch of different supplements that could kind of help clean up my CNS and help get me readapted. And I was discouraged to find out that you got to plan on not taking like 3 weeks. And so I looked at my schedule and I saw that I've got a bunch of family coming to visit me, and I've got some stuff lined up in the month of July that's going to make it reasonably feasible for me to do that. So I just committed to having a stimulant-free July this year. So I think today is day 4. And one of the things that was suggested by chat was that I get 30 minutes of sunshine when I wake up. And so instead of doing my typical 30 minutes of Peloton or 30 minutes of 15-degree uphill walking at whatever 5K or whatever it is that I normally do, I decided that I was going to go for a walk and tell you a bit about that journey and what it's looked like, because it's really no joke. It's a pretty serious thing. And I want to, first of all, acknowledge Melanie, because I've been a bit of a bear, if I'm being honest, with no sleep and having to take that many naps, not really being productive at all, and being super forgetful. My memory's been absolute shit. But the objective here, and the reason why I'm sharing this story, is because I know there's so many of you that are facing similar challenges, and it's not exactly the kind of thing that a lot of guys are talking about. And as you know, I'm the coach that talks about every damn thing. And so I wanted to share with you the story about the why and the what and my plan. And so the plan looks like this. Just take the month off stimulants and see what shakes out, see what happens, and see how I'm feeling, how my CNS is when the end of July rolls around. I'm going to take that feedback that I've got from Melanie. I'm going to look at my productivity. I'm going to, consider the number of incidents that we've had in our relationship, look at the motivation, and just see how it all went. And there's a possibility that I don't go back on stimulants, depending on how my brain is now. There's some likelihood of my neural pathways doing some rewiring during this time. I microdose psilocybin for that purpose. And so I want to see if there's any of that neuroplasticity at work that's done some rewiring for me that might not require me to go back on medication. Because one of the things that I've learned about taking this medication is that it can potentially cut down on your empathy. It can potentially cut down on your ability to vision well, and that it can take away from some of the scattered nature of being neurodivergent that can make you really gifted. When I look back at the days that I was getting my businesses running and working all those hours, one of the cool things was that despite having tons and tons of scattered thoughts, I could get an awful lot done because I was always thinking about the different things, and there was urgency in those things, because if I didn't do them right then, they weren't going to get done. And so, of course, I developed a great skill set for managing my time, a great deal of discipline around task completion, and the recognition that if I didn't do some tasks, like the smaller ones right away, that they just weren't going to get done at all because I'd forget. And also because I often found throughout my life, before I was medicated especially, that if I didn't do things when I was thinking of them, they just wouldn't get done because I would forget. And so that meant that I could move a lot of projects forward very quickly, and that there was a lot of progress due to that. Just these little incremental things happening consistently. And the downside to being medicated was that sometimes you find that you can hyper-focus with great success, but maybe on the wrong things. And then as burnout set in, I was having a hard time hyper-focusing on anything at all. Challenge that I was having not being able to hyper-focus, but that was about it. Of course, that led me to a bunch of podcasts and research that suggested that, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something greater at play here. It could be more than just a CNS burnout from stimulants over too long a period, because I have taken a week off, 2 weeks off in one other case. But I looked at burnout from the autism and the ADHD, and it turns out that there is quite a bit of research around people who do burn out from masking so hard. Now, if you're not familiar with masking, that's the concept that the world in general is made for the neurotypical brain, with all of the noise and signals and confusion that the average brain can navigate, but with something like 40 times as many thoughts in a given day as a neurotypical brain, the neurodivergent brain can easily get overwhelmed. And when you've been told at many points throughout your life that you need to modify your behavior or your words or your language or your conduct or your way of being, you start to learn ways of coping. You learn little signals and little tricks and hacks and ways that you can mask to fit in better, be more like everybody else, to be successful in this world. And if you're like that or you're like me, man, you become a professional chameleon, really. The benefit of that, of course, being that there are literally no scenarios that I've found myself in where I can't make friends. Of course, that's great for sales. There's nobody that I can't get along with. There's nobody that I can't make friends with. There's no place that I go that I can't fit in. But that all takes great effort and quite a bit of recovery. Problem, of course, being when you're a hard-charging entrepreneur, like undoubtedly you are if you're watching this video, that takes a toll on you. And if you've never had the opportunity to step back from that from a sufficient amount of time, yeah, that's going to be taxing and you're going to have problems. And that problem is CNS burnout from consistently trying to be the person that the people around you need to be, or consistently acting like the person in the role trying to accomplish the goals that you're trying to accomplish. And so when you're working super hard at all those things so consistently over so long, being the person, being the boss, being the realtor, being the friend, being the parent, being the son, father, brother, whatever, you start to have a pile up in your brain and your physical body that needs reprieve. And the interesting thing that I've learned about that is that when that happens, you're going to find that it takes a while to reset. And there's actually not a lot of reset available because you're still operating in the world. So what are you going to do? You can ask yourself, hey, what's my best approach here? Well, in my case, the best approach was to quit the medication, do some research, take a look around, see what I could do. Second thing being, what kind of work environment can I create where I can spend more time in authenticity and less time masking? And again, that leads to this video and some of the work that Melanie and I are going to be doing at this new juncture of our relationship and businesses. And so we're going to be spending a lot more time talking about these things, how we've navigated them, how I've navigated them, how she's navigated them, and what it means to be with someone who is wired like this, who has challenges like this, and to talk about what it is to get through them and what are some strategies that we've used to continue to be successful, continue to grow businesses, and continue to have a happy relationship. And so you're going to be seeing a lot more about that from us as we unpack it ourselves, as we learn about it ourselves, as we share real time what it is that we're doing to continue to win. Because it's not like the world around us stops. It's not like our employees can take a break from earning their living. And it's not like there's a lack of need for the types of services that we're talking about providing. It's just that we haven't really gotten deep and behind the curtain on it so much yet until now. And so if you're curious how, we've sold 5,000 homes or how we've built a great coaching company with hundreds of clients across Canada and the US, how we've managed to find ourselves on some of the biggest stages in real estate, despite all of these challenges and amidst all of these challenges, I'd encourage you to go ahead, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and you're going to find links and access to a lot more information that can help you. Because one of the things that I've learned that of the 1.5 million or so realtors in North America, at least 250,000 of them have some sort of diagnosed, neurodivergent personality traits. And what that means is that for the ones that are diagnosed, there's a much higher number of those that aren't. And so if you're the kind of person who's had that scattered brain and managing all things at once and getting overwhelmed and can't make decisions as to what to work on or how to work on it, or feel sometimes just stuck spinning wheels, stuck in bed, can't find motivation, is simultaneously hyper-organized about some things and super disorganized about others, or is introverted about some things and super extroverted about others. There's so many things that I can share with you about this journey. So stay tuned, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the other side as we unpack all this stuff.